you all from our Facebook page, I believe, and also from our YouTube channel by the same name, Migrant Workers Association. So today, as I had put a status and a post up earlier in the day, so we've been inundated with lots of contact since the announcement was made on 30th of September about the one-off resident visa 2021. So we've had lots and lots and lots of questions about people who are eligible, people who are not eligible, people onshore, people who are stranded offshore. So we thought it was timely for me as a licensed immigration advisor to go through some of those frequently asked questions and provide answers wherever I have the information. Obviously, we still are waiting for more information from Immigration New Zealand, so I will provide answers as far as I can. And I also want to thank one of our volunteers, Bijal, who put lots of effort into gathering all the questions from all different platforms and collating them for me. So thank you, Bijal. I'll be going through the questions that you've worked so hard to put together for us. And before I dive into answering those questions, the announcement today, or the news today, about connecting New Zealand to the rest of the world. In other words, reopening New Zealand borders. Basically, three main points. I've already shared the press release by the Beehive by Chris Hipkins on Migrant Workers Association Facebook page and the group. So please read that. That is first-hand information, and you will have seen it on the news as well, on all the main channels and through various other media outlets. Starting next year, starting in January, there will be no requirement of people staying in MIQ, in managed isolation. So they're doing it in three different groups. So January, I forget what the exact date was. So January will be New Zealand citizens, residents returning from Australia. So they will still need to be double vaccinated. They will need to have negative COVID tests just before they travel, and then as soon as they arrive here, and then they will have to be in self-isolation for 7 days and then present a negative test at the end of that again. So that's the first group. Second group in February will again be New Zealand citizens and residents, and it also says those eligible for traveling to New Zealand. So again, same requirements there as well, but this time the citizens, residents and those eligible will be coming from everywhere, really, the rest of the world, except I think Papua New Guinea, which still remains to a high-risk country, whereas all the other countries that were deemed to be high-risk, mainly India, Pakistan, Fiji, Brazil, there may be one or two others in there, so they will no longer be high-risk countries beginning of next month, I believe. So that's the second group. The third group is now, which we have really been campaigning for quite a lot, and some of the others as well, where families remain separated. So the third group will be foreign nationals. So that would be anyone who's never been to New Zealand before, and all non-citizens and non-residents. So basically people who are stranded offshore and hold temporary visas for New Zealand, or even new people who've never been here before. So they will be allowed from 30th of April onwards to come into New Zealand. And we've also been told that it will be done in sort of stages. So they will have certain visas prioritized over others. So we don't have that detailed information yet. So we will wait and see what is announced there. The biggest concern out of this is now people who have been stranded for nearly 2 years now. Many of those have, their visas have already expired. So what are we going to do about those people? How do we bring them back? So our demand has always been, while the border remains closed, you must extend those visas by the same duration as the border remains closed. So this is will be now just under 2 years. So how about the government extend all of those visas by 2 years, 18 months, or however many months it's going to be by January. So nearly 2 years it would be, 21 months or something. So extend those visas so that everybody can start coming back 30th of April onwards. So that is what we would like to see happen. We will continue campaigning for that. And as you all know, the usual groups and organizations that we team up with, the unions and Green Party's been really supportive. So we will keep working there and see how we can bring every person who's stranded offshore, how we can bring each one of you back. We'll need to get the visas extended. Right. So that also brings me on to so obviously offshore visa processing will have to resume if the country is expecting new visitors to start arriving 30th of April onwards. So that would also be a good sign for offshore visa processing to start. That will help to reunite many, many families. As this issue doesn't just impact migrants, there are also many New Zealand citizens, residents, who have partners who are from other countries, and, they have their partners' children separated from them. So it'll be good for those people as well. So now I will start going through the list of questions I have and answer them to the best of my ability based on the information that we have available from Immigration New Zealand to date. So what I'll do is I will just start reading the questions. Your comments. I will go through the comments soon. Gurnoor Singh, are you protesting soon? Obviously, any protest that we do, we have to be mindful of whatever COVID restrictions are in place at a given point in time. So we'll discuss that later. So the main focus for today's live stream is to answer questions that we have gathered. So this is specifically for the one-off resident visa 2021 that was announced on 30th of September this year. So do people have to have an IELTS test for this residence visa category? No, there are no language requirements absolutely whatsoever. So you do not have to worry about doing an IELTS test. So that is quite a relief because, people who've been living here for a number of years, obviously, I think the majority is fine with the language and, they live here. So you would have to have the language. Can you apply if you were offshore? Unfortunately, no, you cannot. You have to be in New Zealand to apply for the RV21. So I'm going to refer to the one-off resident visa 2021 as RV21 from here onwards. Next question is total days 821 days, but this is someone who does not meet the start date 29th of September 2018. I think what they mean is that they, if they were to count back from 29th of September 2021, they have been in New Zealand for 821 days. It's just that they arrived later than 29th of September 2018. So no, if that's the situation, you are not eligible. You should have been here in New Zealand on or before 29th of September 2018. So you have to count your 821 days between two dates, and those two dates are 29th of September 2018 and 29th of September 2021. Can I apply and leave the country? Yes, you can apply and leave the country, but what Immigration New Zealand have told us is that your application will be put on hold if that's what you do. If you apply and leave, your application will be put on hold and they will not process your application until you return to New Zealand. So because of the border closures, we've been saying don't leave unless it is an absolute emergency and you cannot avoid it. So now that they've announced the reopening of the borders, maybe that is a possibility. But again, the instruction from INZ is that they will put your application on hold if you leave after you've made the application. If a person held a job paying $27 per hour on 29th of September or was employed in job on scarce list on 29th of September, but has subsequently left that job, are they still eligible to apply for residence on 1st of March 2022? Okay, this is a very interesting question and a scenario that may affect a lot of people out there. So you need to be eligible if you're eligible and under the settled criteria on the 29th of September, then that's easy. You're still eligible on date of application. But if you are eligible under skilled or scarce criteria on 29th of September 2021, come application day, you would still need to be eligible under one of those conditions. It does not need to be the same one that you were eligible under on 29th of September. It can be a different one. So say, for example, if you're eligible, realistically speaking, if you're eligible under scarce, say on 29th of September 2021, and then you need to change that job to another job that is not on the scarce list, you would need to make sure that when you make your application, say, for example, on 1st of March 2022, you'd need to make sure that then you were eligible under the skilled criteria, that you were earning at least $27 per hour or vice versa. So you would need to maintain your eligibility either under scarce or skilled, but it's interchangeable. Right, I hope that's clear. Holder of post-study work visa in New Zealand for 3 years, do they need to be working or can they meet the settled criteria? Okay, so if you meet the settled criteria on 29th of September 2021, the only thing that you need to meet in terms of criteria on the day of application is that you still hold one of the eligible visas. So in this situation, if you're on a post-study work visa on 29th September 21, and say if that visa expires before the 1st of March 2022, then I guess the most logical pathway or option for you is to go on to essential skills work visa. Which if you remain in the same job, it's quite easy, not quite easy, it's somewhat easier at the moment. If you remain in the same job, you can apply for an essential skills work visa without doing the labour market test. You would meet the settled criteria regardless of, anyway, but you have to make sure that you are on one of the eligible visas that are listed for RV21. For the $27 per hour criteria, does the person need to be working full time, or is it just that they have to be paid $27 per hour? Another very interesting question, and that has been asked quite a lot. Now, your employment must be full time. So full-time, according to INZ, is at least 30 hours per week. It can be more, but not less than 30 hours per week. So that is what they will be looking for if you are going to claim under the skilled criteria or scarce criteria. That's what they will look for. Now, I've had some people who are on post-study work visas, but they are working as contractors. So contractors are allowed, they are eligible as long as they can provide evidence that they have been working for $30 an hour. And obviously, if they are meeting the skilled criteria, it has to be $27 per hour at least. Next one is, what is the process for phase 1? Applicants who have already applied for SMC or a residence from work and paid a fee, will they need to apply again? And if so, pay a further fee to those who are in the EOI pool. Okay, so SMC, residence from work, EOI, slightly different criteria that need to be met here. So if so on December 1st, people who already have an SMC application in progress, so not just an EOI, and then they've already been invited to apply and they had made that application by 29th of September 2021. So those people are eligible to apply for RV21 1st of December onwards. Now, And if somebody has an EOI in the pool, but not been invited to apply for SMC, but they have children aged 17 years or older, dependent on them, they can also apply for RV21 starting on 1st of December. Now, they do not need to pay the application fee on 1st of December for RV21. So when the RV21 has been processed, and when it comes to the stage of approval in principle, INZ will contact you, and they will offer you the option of withdrawing your EOI or your SMC application. Then they will then adjust that fee that you have already paid for SMC EOI. They will adjust that for the RV21. So in some cases, you will have a refund. In other cases, you will have to just top up. So no, you don't have to pay the fee twice. That's absolutely clear. Is there any indication of fees? So that's obviously quite a question from really early on. Yes, $2,160 per application. So, if you are just a single applicant, $2,160, but even if you've got partners, dependent children, partner on your application. So it doesn't matter how many people are included in your application, it's just $2,160 per application. If an applicant who has applied for SMC residence from work decides to apply for residence under the 2021, can they get a refund for the I've already answered that they will make that adjustment, but you will have to withdraw your other application. But if you choose not to withdraw the other application, which I suppose that I don't see that happening, but I suppose there could be the odd chance that it could, in case your RV21 is not approved, and then you can still leave your SMC EOI going on. In that case, you will have to pay for the RV21, so you're paying two lots of fees. But mostly if your RV21 has been approved in principle, it makes absolute sense to withdraw the SMC or EOI. I don't see any point in keeping that there. What else have we got? For those SMC RFW applications that have been lodged since late 2019 or early 2020, should they now apply under the new category or wait for their existing residence visa application to be processed and wait it out, so to speak? Okay, now this is a tricky one. So people who have been in the queue for such a long time, I can't really provide you a blanket answer for this, because it really needs to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. And I am sure most of you will also have your advisors or lawyers. So that's, those people are your go-to places. So, talk to your advisor, talk to your lawyer, and consult them, because you will have already paid for that service. So that's where you need to get your advice from and consult them. And also depends on where how far your application has progressed. If you've already been assigned a case officer, and if they've asked for additional documents, and it's at the very sort of last stages of very close to a decision being made, it will just depend on how far your application has progressed, and also that there may be applicants with exceptional circumstances or complications or complex applications. So again, case by case, I'm unable to provide you a generic answer for this one. Okay, persons on scarce list, specified sector jobs and long-term skill shortage. Do applicants need to meet ANSCO or long-term skill shortage list requirements? Okay, now this again, the last webinar we had with INZ, when I say we, I mean the licensed immigration advisors and lawyers. So a question was raised there that, the occupations that are listed on the scarce lists, including the long-term skill shortage list requirements, the specific question that was asked by one of the advisors or lawyers, I can't remember who did, was that, will INZ consult ANSCO to verify whatever occupation an applicant is claiming. We were clearly told that no, they will not be consulting ANSCO. So then the next question was, well, what will you go by then? We don't have the answer to that yet. So I'm a little bit lost and confused about that. You know, ANSCO seems to be the only guide we have to verify jobs and the tasks and the duties within a job. So I am unsure as to what they will use to verify. So on a personal level, what I have been doing when, you know, in the last few weeks, people have been reaching out to me. So as a licensed immigration advisor, I'm kind of obliged to provide direction and guidance to people as much as I can. So I have been actually referring to ANSCO to make sure that I have some sort of benchmark to be able to assess people who are going to be eligible based on the scarce list. But we don't have any other guidance or direction at the moment. So as soon as INZ clarify that for us, then we will, perhaps it'll be easier, or I don't know. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Processing time after you apply. Okay. How long is a piece of string? Okay, in the webinars, the 2 webinars I have attended, INZ processing team keeps reiterating that this application, this residence visa process is simpler, easier, super streamlined. Now, those are the words they use, super streamlined. So they forecast that 80% of the applications will be decided within 12 months. So that's straight from INZ. We hope that that's what they will deliver. If you are above 59 years, can you apply? Yes, absolutely. If you meet one of the 3 eligibility criterias, then yes, and you hold the right type of visa, you can. There is no age limit. Like there's no language requirements. There's no age limits either. No age restrictions. Partnership visa, does it qualify if dependent partner qualifies with the requirements, but the main applicant is a student? Right. Okay. So unfortunately, at present, people who are on partnership-based visas, they're mostly actually work visas, and it's really it's sad that a lot of those people actually work in critical sectors, critical health workers, people who are essential workers, people who have been frontline workers in our lockdowns, during our lockdowns. They are ineligible. So unfortunately, you will not qualify if you hold a partnership-based visa, and they're saying if the main applicant is a student. So student visa holders are also not eligible. And we've been saying this time and time again, especially students who are not first-time students, they are second or third-time students, because they came to a point where the pathway to residence was no longer available to them because the rules have changed so many times. And these people then did the right thing. I believe they did the right thing by studying further so that they could upskill themselves, so that they could make themselves eligible for example, for SMC residence. So why punish those people now? So there is a campaign ongoing for that as well. And you will have heard some of the opposition MPs advocate for that as well. So we will keep going with that. But unfortunately, at the moment, you guys are not eligible for the RV21. Do we need to get police clearance? Okay, you don't need to get police clearance from your country of citizenship or any other overseas countries you may have lived in, but you do need police clearance for New Zealand, but you don't actually need to take any action for that. Immigration New Zealand will do that themselves, so they will get that themselves. But having said that, if they ask you for further documents, they may ask you to get police clearance from your country of citizenship or another country you may have lived in. They can ask you for that, but general instructions are you do not need to provide overseas police clearance. Can my partner be attached in my residence even if they are offshore? Yes, they can. If you, as the main applicant, are eligible, yes, you can add your partner, or if you've got any dependent children, you can add them to the same application. But for partnership, INZ will require the usual partnership evidences that they need. So the living together criteria and the evidences of, your partnership is genuine and stable. You will need to provide evidence for all of that. So that hasn't changed. That's same as it is for any other partnership-based visa. My work visa will expire between the time RV21 gets processed. Will we get an extension? Okay. This has been asked quite a lot as well. Will there be any automatic extensions? So to date, there has been no announcement by INZ or the minister that visas that expire pretty soon will be automatically extended. I think there may have been a statement by the minister where, they said they'll have to look at this and how to deal with it, but there's no definite announcement that expiring visas will be automatically extended. So, if your work visa is expiring soon, you will need to make arrangements so that you remain on a visa that is eligible for RV21. And I know many people whose visas expire, like say, for example, in end of March next year or April or something like that, or May. So if your RV21 is not going to be processed really soon, which may be the case, you will need to stay in New Zealand lawfully while your RV21 application is being processed. And in the last webinar that we attended with INZ, it was on 12th of November 2021, they also said more than once in that webinar that you need to be on an eligible visa on 29th of September 2021 and on the day you make your application. But while your application is being processed, you can be on any type of visa. So you don't have to be on a visa that is eligible once your application is already in the system and being processed. So that's somewhat a relief, I guess. What else have we got? What are the options for those left out? Now, that's a very good question, because the number of times we've seen that in the last month said by the minister and other people in government and INZ, people who've been excluded, don't worry, you still have other options available to you. So the other options, most of them have been suspended. So the biggest one being the skilled migrant category residence, that remains suspended. We hope that gets reopened as the borders are reopening next year. And then end of October, they stopped some of the other, like the talent accredited employer visa, and then a couple of others have been stopped. So there aren't really that many other options available at the moment. Where was I? If we already applied in SMC, do we need to apply again? Yes, like I explained earlier on, yes, if you already have an SMC application, and if it looks like that it is going to take a long time for your SMC application to be decided, you have the option to apply for RV21. And if you would be eligible to apply on 1st of December, and you should have already received a notification from INZ telling you that. The other thing is, even in the beginning, a lot of people thought that they had to be invited to apply for RV21 if they had an SMC or EOI in the pool. That is not the case. Immigration New Zealand should only be notifying you. Just people who are eligible, they will be notifying them by email that you're eligible for this RV21 starting 1st of December 2021. So even if you don't get that email, but you know that you're eligible, you should go ahead and apply. Don't wait for an email from INZ. Okay. Is there any minimum qualification requirement? No, there is not, because your eligibility does not depend on your qualification. It just depends on whether you've been here long enough and between those dates for 821 days, whether you were here on 29th of September 2021, physically in New Zealand, whether you meet the skilled criteria, whether you meet the scarce criteria, and then other than that is whether you meet some other criteria, like for example, certain sectors are eligible, critical health workers, for example, and then there are some critical purpose visa holders who are eligible as well. So nothing is based on your qualification directly, but I guess people who would be eligible under the critical health workers, for example, and they would have to be qualified, and then they would have to have registration. So this question, is there any minimum qualification requirement? That question, to answer it, there are a lot of things that need to be considered. So for example, if someone say an electrician, if they are eligible because their job is on a scarce list, they would have to have that qualification. A lot of jobs are not just because you have enough experience in that field or that sector. A lot of jobs are also because you have to have a qualification in the first place to be employed in that job. So from that perspective, yes, you will need qualifications, but there is no direct outright requirement for you to have qualifications. Next question is, my post-study visa will expire in near future. Will my visa be extended to? Yeah, I've already answered that. No automatic extension. So you have to make sure that you are on the correct visa when you make your application, and you also have to make sure that you remain in New Zealand lawfully while your application is being processed. If I change my job, will I still be eligible? It just depends on how you are eligible in the first place. So if you are eligible because your job is on a scarce list, and then you go and change it to a job that is not on a scarce list, in that case you will not be eligible. So I think it just depends on exactly what job you have right now and what job you plan to have when you will be making the application. So I would need a little bit more detail around that. But for example, if you are eligible because you meet the settled criteria, then it doesn't really matter what job you're doing on 29th of September and what job you're doing on the day of your application and what job you do when your application is being processed, then it absolutely does not matter. And again, if you are eligible through your skilled criteria, again, it does not matter what job you do on those different dates, as long as your pay rate is $27 per hour or higher. So it just depends on how you are eligible. Do we need to redo police clearance and medical? A very good question. No one had asked that before then. So with medicals, what we have been told is that you will require a limited medical certificate. And when I went and looked at what a limited medical entails, it also entails a chest x-ray, so that the requirements are the same as, so the validity of your medical certificates is the same. That hasn't changed. So if you've had a medical certificate and a chest x-ray submitted with a previous application, and that was not more than 3 years ago, so your certificate and your chest x-ray was issued within the last 3 years, then you can use the same ones if on the day of your application those certificates are not more than 3 years old. You don't need new ones, and provided that your health has not changed, you are still healthy and same as you were 3 years ago when you got your certificates, then you don't need to do anything further. But if your health has changed, deteriorated, for example, then it doesn't matter even if your certificates were from, say, 6 months ago or 3 months ago, you would need to, 3 months is fine, but if your certificates are older than 3 months, then you would need to get new ones if your health has changed. What else there? Yeah, I've had people who have specific health conditions, and there I would strongly advise that even if your health certificates are less than 3 years old and you've provided them with previous applications, and if you know that you have got conditions that have been of concern to INZ previously, I think I would advise that it's a good idea to just get a report from your specialist or your GP just to make sure that everything is good and things haven't changed for you. So that could save time for you, I suppose. So just get a new fresh specialist report so that you don't run into problems. So those were all the questions that volunteer Bijal had collected for us. And now I've got a couple of others to add in there. I've had people whereby they are eligible, they think they're eligible because their jobs are on a scarce list. So, but I am not sure if they are eligible. So to quote an example, a scenario where somebody who's been here less than 3 years, so they don't meet the settled criteria, but they are registered as a primary school teacher, so that's on the scarce list, but they were working as an early childhood teacher on the 29th of September. So we are not sure whether they are eligible or not. So I will seek further guidance for that one and see where we go. And one or two others in a similar, like, their registration is for something different, which is on the scarce list, but their actual job is slightly different. So you could, I don't know, you could argue a teacher is a teacher, whether they're on early childhood sector or secondary, but I am not entirely sure. So I will find out and I guess share with you all as well, so that it helps as many people as possible. So what I'm going to do now is just look at some of the comments we have here. We have got quite a lot, so I'll try to get through most of them. Are you protesting soon for them? Yes, as soon as we are able to, as soon as restrictions lift, and yes, we will. And that's how we have mostly campaigned in the last 10, 12 years, just because we haven't done any protests in the last 3 months because of the lockdown in Auckland. And we could still go and do it, but usually we are accompanied by the last big march we did. We had over 1,000 people marching with us, most of them migrants who are on temporary visas. So we don't want people to get into trouble because temporary visa holders have to comply with COVID restrictions. So we don't want people to be in breach of their visa conditions and get into trouble. Whereas us, we who are either citizens or residents, it doesn't really matter if we get into trouble with the authorities, but we don't want the temporary migrants to be hurt. So that's the main reason why we haven't protested. How about visa holders offshore? How about, sorry, at the moment, the RV21, people who are in New Zealand, only they can apply. So offshore visa holders, unfortunately, are not eligible. And that has been one of the demands ever since this visa was announced on 30th of September. That has been demand. And it's also been part of, you may have seen, I actually don't know if the Green Party petition has that. They definitely have a demand of extending the visas for people who are stuck offshore, but we are actually saying that RV21 should be extended to all migrants, including those who are stranded offshore. We are actually saying that doesn't matter what visa somebody is on, even people who are onshore. If somebody's been here 3 years or more, they should be allowed to apply for this, including those who are stranded offshore. So yes, absolutely. Everyone needs, and it's an online application, so people can apply from wherever they are. Raki Usha, without extension of our visas, unable to travel back. Yes, we understand that. So that's why we've been, our campaign, Pathways to Residency petition, was launched in September, October 2020, so more than a year ago. And one of the demands in there was that allow the people who are stranded offshore, allow them to come back to New Zealand just like New Zealand citizens. And then subsequent demand has been extend visas of all those who are stranded offshore. Raki again, I hope Green Party help us in this difficult times and stand. Yeah, Green Party has always been alongside migrants. Even before, I think you guys wouldn't have been here in New Zealand. Maybe you were 2016-17 when we had a group of international students who were deported, and some of those were able to come back after we campaigned for nearly 3 years, and Green Party was supportive all along. What else? Gurnur Singh, total discrimination and no one will raise their voice because they are not suffering. I disagree, Gurnur. I am actually not suffering through any of this. My family does not suffer. We've lived in this country for 18 years. My husband and I came in as skilled migrants on a work to residence visa, and I would say that it's been fairly easy for us to get our visas and then get our residence. We are permanent residents here. We're not citizens. We are permanent residents. It's just we haven't gotten around to get our citizenship, I guess. And like a lot of the other people who fight with us, people from the unions and people, we have a lot of Maori supporters, so none of us really suffer directly, but as human beings, we feel the pain of other humans. So, we have sympathy, empathy for you guys. So that's why we raise our voices for you. So I think it hurts us when people say stuff like that. No one will raise their voice. So you are kind of telling me that I haven't been raising my voice for you. So that's hurtful. But yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. I don't agree, and then it hurts me. Jay Patel, most of the offshore visas will be expiring around March 2022. Please request Immigration Minister to extend our visas. Yeah, like I've already explained. You're saying they will be expiring. There are many, many people whose visas have already expired this year and end of 2020 as well. So yeah, that has been a demand, and it's a demand on the Green Party petition as well. Kate Wong, dear Migrant Workers Association of Aotearoa, would like to ask if there is a chance to have a live stream with one of Left Behind community. Thank you so much. Many people willing to know our next step. We did, Kate. We have spent the last, I think, about 4 weeks doing live streams with people. We've had people on shore where we've had like an open forum, and also where we've had people who was specifically invited to speak. We've had onshore people as well. There was one group, one live stream where we had specifically your group. It was only invitation extended to people from your Facebook group. And then the last time, about 2 weeks ago, the last live stream I did, I noticed that I had pretty much the same people who I had in the previous 2 to 3 weeks. And that's not what we want, because it then started looking like, it's only a few people, the same people, handful of people who are voicing out, and that makes the problem look much smaller than it actually is. But we can do another one. So maybe if you want to private message me, and then we can organize something. We need different people to be speaking all the time, so that we can actually show this government the magnitude and the scale of this problem. That's what I'm getting at. Yash Gupta, did the immigration decide how are they going to process the one-off residency? Like, is it going to be first? The webinars that I have attended, that's not the case. INZ keeps saying that it is not that. They are saying, actually, because they're saying don't all apply on the first day, because that will just crash they could potentially crash their systems. So they are saying that, apply in a phased way. So it's not, because it would be a first come first serve if they had said that we will only issue this residence to X number of people, but they have not said that. It will be issued to people who are eligible and meet the criteria. So it is not a first come first serve basis, as far as I understand from INZ. Raghu Incham, what about partners of temporary visa holders? What about them? I think you need to expand on your question, please, Anjum. I'm not sure what you're asking. If you're asking if partners of temporary visa holders are eligible for RV21, I've already explained. If the main applicant is eligible under all of those criteria I explained, then the partner can be included in the same application. And even if the partner is offshore, they can be included. However, Immigration New Zealand will need to see the usual genuine and stable partnership criteria that they always have, like living together, for example. So if you can expand on your question a little bit more, I can provide a better answer, hopefully. Okay, Manjeet Singh Chima. What about healthcare students who will be on eligible work visa before 31st of July 2021? Will they be eligible as per 14th November 2022 Immigration Minister confirmation related to quirk and new policy? Okay, so Manjeet, the quirk, yeah, I should have mentioned that as well. So the quirk that some of us lawyers spotted straight away was that some of the critical health workers who were on the wrong type of visa on 29th of September, as per Immigration New Zealand, were not eligible for RV21. However, if those same people left New Zealand and applied to come back in, and then suddenly they could be eligible for RV21, and also some of the newer people on those critical visas could come in. So at this stage, as far as I know, the quirk has been acknowledged by the minister, and he has said on record that, you know, they're looking at how to fix this, but that's all the information I have. I don't have any more than that. So we don't have a timeline of, you know, will they be eligible as per 14th of November 2022 Immigration Minister. So yeah, I think you mean 2021. Yeah, we don't have further information, so I'm unable to answer that question fully. Manoj Rana, my visa 2022, 26th August, no job, mid-skill essential visa. Okay, I don't want to go into kind of individual scenarios here. I'm answering sort of generic questions. If someone's got a very specific situation, you can message us. Reach out to us, and then we'll try to take it that way. And also I don't understand my visa 2020. Yep, no job, mid-skill. So if you're saying that you've got a mid-skilled essential skill visa that is valid until 26th of August 2022, but you have no job, if that's correct, if I understand correct, it just depends on how you're eligible. If you are eligible on the basis of your job, either you're skilled or in a scarce list, then Immigration New Zealand will need to see the evidence that, you know, you have this job and you've been working. But if you have a valid reason for not being in work, then that's what you would need to explain. But I'm not entirely sure. So maybe you can message me and then we can discuss in detail privately in a confidential manner. Sonia Nair. Dear Anu, a host groomer is getting residency with one-off residency policy. What about a second-time MBA student, author, skilled researcher, lived in NZ but stuck offshore? Yes, Sonia, I am absolutely, fully, 100% perfectly aware of your situation. And we've spoken as well. We've spoken publicly several times. We communicate privately via email as well. So I am fully aware of your situation. I understand what you're saying. I guess a little bit of a hope is that some of you will start coming back 30th of April onwards. A little bit of a hope. I know that does not fix the issue of eligibility for RV21, but still it's something, in this world of hopelessness and despair. I feel like that we have to acknowledge and hold on to, cling on to whatever little hope we are provided. So yeah, I think we're allowed to celebrate a little bit whatever positive outcome we get. So yeah, it's good that today's announcement, at least this government has acknowledged that, there are people who they call them foreign nationals. I would have preferred to call them, people who were normally living here but now are stuck outside. At least they're still acknowledged that, there's this group of people who need to be brought back. Mere word on offshore has become disastrous word. As you were saying about getting upskilled, that is what I did. And I fully understand. We hear your pain, we feel your pain, even though we are not directly adversely impacted or affected. We feel your pain. That's why we keep campaigning, we keep talking about the issues, we keep doing media interviews, we keep doing petitions, we keep working with together as a community of advisors or lawyers, or we keep working with opposition parties who genuinely, meaningfully want to help you. So all these different tools in the toolkit, we keep trying and keep going forward as much as we can. Harry Singh, what is the fee for the family for $2,160? It does not matter whether you are a single applicant, Harry Singh, or whether you are a couple, or whether you are a family of a couple with 1 children, 3, 4, 5 children. Does not matter how many of you in the application. It is just one flat rate of $2,160. Sachin Kashyap, thanks for supporting us. Please bring us back, migrants offshore. Absolutely, Sachin, and that's what we've been doing from the very day this country went into lockdown in 2020 in March. And Kate Wang, she would like to ask if there is a chance to support left behind community, have peaceful protest, fully vaccinated people in the upcoming traffic system. Confirmed the protest won't... Okay, Kate, we've had these discussions within your Facebook group as well about the protests, and I think through you're very well aware why we haven't been protesting. You're saying the protest won't be against New Zealand government. I disagree. The protest is absolutely fully against the New Zealand government, because they are the ones who have left you guys out of this resident visa 2021. Who else would you be protesting against? I don't understand. This protest of demanding that the migrants stuck offshore should be brought back, that people who have been excluded from this residence visa 2021, they should be including, absolutely fully against the current government. They are the ones who make the decisions. I disagree. If you don't want to protest the government, then maybe we are not on the same page. Sonia Sardana, does AWI 2021 process first? No, as I've already explained, we've been told it's not first come first serve. Sonia Nair, why am I seeing the same comments again? So people, if you comment once and just wait, just wait for the for me to read through all the comments, and then I will get to your comments instead of posting the same thing over and over again. That kind of just is counterproductive. Let me just put my phone on silent and then I'll continue. Okay. Who are other eligible travelers in today's announcement? Yes, that's a very good question. Gurnoor, we are waiting for further information from INZ that in the February slot next year, that they've said that New Zealand citizens, residents and other eligible travelers from all other countries, like they'll do Australia in January and then all other countries will be in February. So I don't know, but at a guess, I think the eligible travelers may be temporary visa holders who would have exception to travel to New Zealand. That's just at a guess, but we don't have further information yet. Kate Wong, because fully vaccinated people are allowed to gather in person. Yes, they are. Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, so once the restrictions ease a little bit, we can. Nafiz Ahmed, same question again. Any plan for protest as long as we're fully vaccinated and now we will be allowed for gathering? Yes, I've already answered that. Yeah, as soon as we're allowed, we will protest, and we will protest the government. That's who we are protesting, because they are the ones who can change these things and make the decisions. Okay, Amandeep Kaur, is there any possibility for visa extension? There, I am not aware of any automatic visa extensions that are going to happen. So each person will need to make sure that they have the correct visa when at the time of application for RV21, and people will also need to make sure that while their application is being processed, that they remain in New Zealand lawfully. So what INZ have told us in the webinars that they hold with advisors and lawyers is that once your RV21 application is in the system and is being processed, and if your visa is about to expire, you can then apply for any visa. It does not have to be one of the eligible visas. It can be any type of visa after your application is in the system and being processed. Okay, Kate Wong. Sorry for that. Many people just in a very broken mental situation in the last 2 months, so speaking sometimes a bit emotionally. All good. We understand that. Thanks for your effort. This is Raman. Your last hope for us. Please bring us back. Yeah, we keep going. We keep fighting. Sonia, how it's working? I guess 5,000 applicants apply RV. No, 50,000 applicants apply RV to the application. How they pick, file, and process on 1st of March pool. So it's first apply and first serve. Okay. Sonia Sardana, I repeat, the INZ webinars that are not a public webinar, that are private forums that INZ hold for immigration advisors and lawyers. In that webinar, the one I attended on 12th of November, I'm also a licensed immigration advisor, so I get to attend these webinars. The one that I attended on 12th of November this year, that question was asked. There were about more than 500 people attending, and we are able to send them questions in advance, and then they pick some of those questions and answer them. We are also able to type our questions in the chat during the webinar, and several people did ask that is this first come first serve? Excuse me. And INZ staff clearly answered that question in that webinar, that it is not first come first serve basis, and they actually encouraged applicants to not all apply on 1st of December or not all apply on 1st of March, because that will just clog the system and actually cause delays. So it would be better if people can do a phased approach. Even if you think, I'm a licensed advisor, and if I have, just for an argument's sake, if I have, I don't know, 20 applicants who are eligible on 1st of March, there's no way I can make all of the 20 applications on 1st of March. I will have to do them over, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks or something, whatever pace I can work at. So it is just crazy for people to get this into their head that it's first come, first served. It can't be. And also, have you heard anyone at INZ or the minister say that only so many people will be issued this visa? Like, is there a quota for this? Are you aware of that? Am I missing something? Or did they tell us that only 165,000 will get this? They said that 165,000 migrants are likely to benefit from this, but that does not mean that that is the maximum number that they will issue this visa to. So even based on that as well, it's not a first come, first serve. But yes, if your visa is expiring soon, hurry up and do apply. But for people, I have people whose visa is expiring 2023 or 2024, obviously those people are going to be like further down the queue in my list of clients, compared to if I have someone whose visa expires in June 2022, for example, I will be rushing to make their application, while the others I can do later. Sonia Nair again, please start online application for eligible. This will fast track the process of residency for migrant stock option. It will secure. Yes, absolutely agree with you, Sonia, 100%. Sonia Nair, yes, that's the most sensible thing for these people to do, that they allow you to make your applications online, and then, they can still wait for the offshore people to be brought back in, because, the main thing is if I think people will be okay with that. if they can apply for their RV21 residence from offshore and then be allowed to come back as residents whenever they become residents, even that would be fine. Okay, because many fully vaccinated migrants really looking forward for protesting. If they could get support, I believe they will in more secure. Yes, absolutely. We are, Kate, just waiting for the right time. In the last 10 or so years, every time we have protested, there has always been lots of planning, organizing, and strategy around our protests. While to other people it may look like that we just get up and go, it's not like that. The timing for the protest has to be right, otherwise it can backfire and actually hurt us rather than benefit us. So we strongly believe that protesting right now is absolutely the wrong thing to do, because the only people protesting right now or in the last few weeks have been people who are against lockdowns, people who are against vaccinations, people who don't believe COVID is real. Those are the people, and I'm not sure whether you've caught up with the news. So organizers of those protests have been charged, and they have been presented in court, and like Hannah Tamaki and Brian Tamaki. While we don't want any of you to be put into that kind of situation. So we are mindful that we don't hurt anyone through our protests. Chen, when the government will give further detailed information about open board? Chen, please explain what you mean by open board. I don't understand. Okay. Jaspreet Kaur, Sekhon, people who came to New Zealand under VOC critical purpose, are they eligible? People who came to NZ through border exemption, they were stuck more than a year in India, so can't meet the first criteria, so it means they are not eligible in first criteria. So Jaspreet, it just depends on which criteria those people are trying to be eligible under. For example, I have a person at the moment who reached out to me. They've lived in New Zealand for the last 6 years, but in 2020 they had to they were out of New Zealand, I think around early February, and could not come back until December 2020. So they were, so between those dates, 2018 and 2021, they were here for 820 days. So, but they're not eligible under the skilled or the scarce criteria. So the only way they are eligible is settled, and they're just short of 1 day. So that they came back with a VOC, like critical purpose, to come back. So many people in that situation as well. So we are just waiting to get further instructions, further information from INZ as to how those cases will be assessed. You know, it's not their fault that they couldn't come back when they wanted to come back. You know, the borders were closed on them, and it takes forever sometimes to get your exception to travel. So we're waiting to hear more from INZ how those matters will be dealt with. Okay, any plans to expand the eligibility? Kunal, if you had been listening to this live for the last hour or so, and if you have ever been following the work that we do at Migrant Workers Association, you will know the answer to your question. INZ keeps saying that, they will not make any changes to RV21, but as I am sure you will already know. I reckon your name sounds familiar, so I'm sure, we've crossed paths somewhere. As you will know, that we keep campaigning for this visa to be extended to all, including those who are stranded offshore. And the opposition parties, Greens, ACT, National, all their MPs are also saying similar things. So the pressure is on. And also the quirk relating to the critical health workers, that's been acknowledged by the minister. So that kind of gives us hope that if they are willing to look at that and fix that, that gives us room to keep going and get more outcomes, more benefits for more of you. Sonia, thank you. I'm not sure whether I'm wonderful or not, but we keep working. So thanks for your compliments anyway. Like even if you hadn't said that, we will still keep doing this work, but thank you. Vijay, any hope who didn't make for one-off resident? Yep, I've already answered your question. As MIQ is going to be reduced in a few months' time, and obviously migrants are going to quit their jobs in search of their... migrants are going to... Where are we? Quit their jobs in search of other ones. Is government still not going to recognize the frontline workers and give them a chance in one of... Absolutely right, Pranav. I couldn't agree more that I think that, this government needs to wake up and realize that what's going on and what's about to happen. And we already, people who are eligible for the RV21 and have been in exploitative situation. But we've already got so many people coming to us in the last couple of weeks where those people are now confident enough and brave enough to actually go and seek help for their exploitation, because they know that very soon they will be out of this situation that tied them to employers. So if migrant workers realize what's going on, the government needs to wake up as well. You're welcome, Kate. Jaspreet Gorseko, thank you so much. The final policy for came or still? So Jaspreet, the policy, according to the government, it's final. And it's not a policy actually. It's a visa category that they have announced. So this is not our immigration policy. Immigration policy is the entire sort of structure and, the number of migrants the government would want in a year or in the next few years, and what kind of migrants they would want. That's the bigger stuff policy. So this Resident Visa 2021 is not immigration policy. It is just a visa category, a one-off visa category that the government announced. To make changes to the policy, they can't just make announcements. Usually the government has to consult the public of New Zealand. But because due to COVID, there have been a couple of amendments to our Immigration Act, which gives the minister the power to kind of do blanket things. So I'm thinking, that's possibly what's allowed the minister to bring in this visa category. But if the minister wanted to change the policy, this government wanted to change the policy, they wouldn't just be able to do it, or they shouldn't anyway. We would kind of try to hold them accountable. The government and INZ are saying that there's no flexibility, there will be no further changes made to RV21, but they have already acknowledged one kind of an anomaly with the critical health workers, and they're saying that they are looking to fix that. So based on that, we should keep going to get the other issues fixed as well. So there could potentially be further changes, but obviously I don't make that decision. People I work with as a campaigner, they don't. The government does. All we can do is keep highlighting these issues and keep highlighting the situation of people who've been excluded, and keep building the pressure. That's the best we can do. I think that may be all the questions and comments we've got. So I will just check if we've got any more. I don't think we have. I think I've answered all of the questions to the best of my ability and my knowledge. And there were a couple in there where I didn't want to comment on your sort of individual situation. So feel free to message us through Migrant Workers Association Facebook page, and we will try our best to answer your queries and get back to you. And thank you very much for joining me and providing those valuable and important comments. And we will keep going, we'll keep fighting. And like I said, if you've got any specific questions that are specific to your own individual situation, you can message us privately on Migrant Workers Association Facebook page. Thank you very much, and good night, and stay strong, stay united.